FloodGate family, and welcome to another edition of our Leadership Live. And I'm absolutely ecstatic to have a great leader, proven in many different spots, Shri Parikh, who's now the president of the newly branded OVIK Health, which is part of Milliken and Company. He's the EVP of Milliken as well. So, Shri, thanks so much for joining us on this Leadership Live. We'd love to have you. And hey, I've known you for about 5 years now, so I know you pretty well, but I know a lot of people listening to this don't. So tell us a little bit about you and, of course, OVIK Health, all the cool things happening.
Sure, Joe. Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here on a Friday right before Thanksgiving break. Best to you and your family and everybody that's participating as well. I hope this is well attended, given the upcoming holidays. But I'm a pretty average guy. I think my greatest pride is my family, in addition to being in a industry of healthcare, something I believe all of us should be privileged to be a part of. You know, I've got family members, a number of physicians in the family. I myself was going to med school and thought I wanted to do something a little bit deeper and greater and more meaningful that could touch and impact greater lives. So I think that genesis, that cultural derivative, really was sparked by being able to live a life of purposefulness. And I think there's no greater calling and greater benefit than those of us that are in healthcare and being able to do that in whatever avenue we choose, whether it's practicing, whether it's touching patients, whether it's innovating products that have the ability to impact patients' lives. So my greatest pride comes from my family. Next week, I celebrate 25 years to someone I'm just honored and humbled to be on this life journey with together.
Congrats. That's a great milestone. That's awesome.
Thank you. And we've got two beautiful kids, wonderful kids that have really tested us and helped us understand the true definition of patience, but a great life learning as well, as all of us that are tied to families and have the privilege of having kids and raising them encounter. So that's my life in a nutshell, Joe. Thanks for asking.
No, I love that you talked about the impact you're making, the family. You know, it's not just about the company and the business and what you're doing. You know, you're that whole holistic person. Well, tell us a little bit about the new brand OVIK Health and Milliken first here as well.
Yeah, so it's created a lot of excitement for us. We just went public with it on November 1st. There was some confusion in the market with Milliken Healthcare, the impact and inroads we were making more and more in a deeper footprint in healthcare. So we're able to take the acquisition that we made in 2019 and over healthcare. So that was the cohesive and the compression side of our business. And then Milliken Healthcare had the advanced wound care dressings. So Andover is where you get the OV, and then Milliken, the IK from Milliken.
Yeah.
You combine those and you get OVIK Health. And the script is actually the autograph of Roger Milliken, our most tenured CEO of the Milliken family. So we're a 158-year family-owned business. Been in the Milliken family up until the late 2010s. And Roger Milliken was our president, CEO, and chairman of the board for 1947 to 2006. So a significant amount of that time, and that was his script that we're able to bless with our new name of OVIK Health moving forward.
Interesting. I did not. That's a really good background. And for those who don't know, Milliken's one of the largest privately held companies that make the Tide blue and the carpet in most places you've been into, and a lot of different things. And obviously has put a stake in the ground to be a leader and bring that technology and textiles and chemicals to the great world of healthcare. So, guys, I'm going to be asking some questions to Shri, but I know you're going to have some questions as well. So just type them in the comments. We're going to pull those up at the end, and you get the chance to ask Shri, pick his brain, understand leadership, though. But Shri, our first question for you is, what do you think the attributes of being a great leader in this unique space of med device? What have you seen? What would you say it is?
Yeah, so I think first of all, you've got to have great attributes of a human being, right? And I think that lends itself into a number of industries you choose to play in and choose to invest your life journey and commitment towards. So I think first you've got to have great humility. You've got to be authentic. All of the key attributes that help to gravitate people to want to be around you, right? There's a number of other areas and characteristics I think as well, but really being authentic and humble and complicit to this lifelong journey of learning is implicit really in everything. And then to answer your question, I go back to some of the core values that we have as a company here, which attracted me to Milliken. I believe that people having and surrounding yourself around the strongest like-minded people are very, very supportive to creating that strong base, that nucleus. And you start developing your core values around integrity, excellence, sustainability, not just in the core business, but what is it that you want to do and footprint you wish to create environmentally. And then, innovation, I think, has to be the fabric of sustainable growth and future and forward-looking attributes that you want for any organization and where you are. So I would say those are the core values that we have today within our organization and are the key attributes and the magnetic forces, I would say, from a leadership perspective as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I love you started all with humility, because really, if you're humble and you surround yourself with great people, you're able to actually learn from them, tap into that, create that strength that helps to perpetuate innovation. All of that, all just kind of ties together on being authentic and humble, starting there, and then pulling in the rest of those core values from. I love the way you articulated that. Now, you've been in leadership many years, and I'm sure you've done things 100% right, but if you really had to think hard about something a lesson that you've learned the hard way, what would it be, and what would you recommend so others don't have to learn those lessons as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I may just qualify that, Joe. You're being very humble in introducing me, but I think I've done more things wrong than I have right. But having the self-awareness to appreciate and understand that those wrongs, if you're truly dedicated to self-development, self-improvement, those qualities, you can turn those wrongs or those pearls of wrongs into learning improvements. So it just consistently and continuously makes you better and better. And that's kind of been my journey and my message, not just my loved ones, my kids, people in my social group, but also as a leader, right? When we have the privilege of being able to impact and inspire others around us to really work towards their potential, I think that there is just a true genesis of contagious energy that's arrived at that. So I'll tell you, I've learned a lot from maybe being too myopic in numbers. Numbers help shape and tell a story. This digitalization movement that we've seen, I think, is critically important because it gives us access to data and analytics and how we massage that and what we need to do to help move our journey forward. But it's not the only thing. And I think early in my career, I probably depended a little bit too much. Being an economics major, being strong in the finance, having numbers maybe tell more of the story and what my behaviors and my leadership style needed to be. So I learned to course correct a little bit more of that, helping to appreciate more of the hygiene factors, the whole holistic approach of what it is that our teams that we're evolving and developing are able to do as they interface with customers. So I'd say that was probably one of the better attributes of understanding kind of the prioritization of some of these hygiene factors with metrics. There's a lot of things that I've been able to appreciate and understand from a competitive perspective as well.
Yeah.
What is it that we should do in understanding what the value propositions of what we potentially offer with what customer needs? So listening, really taking the opportunity to understand our customers and digesting that so that we, whether it's up from an innovation pipeline perspective or just a messaging perspective, what is it that we as a leadership team can do so that our teams are able to tailor what is demanded or needed from a customer base. So I know I'm speaking on general terms. I can certainly drop down a couple of decibels if necessary, but I hope that captures a little bit more.
No, I think you bring up some really good points. I mean, I think first is, hey, mistakes, create an environment where mistakes are designed to be learning environment, learning and celebrated as learning, at all levels, I think makes an organization healthy. I think that's crucial. I thought it was interesting when you're talking to, the voice of customer. It's so hard not to just go out and look for confirmation bias to what you already believe and find those examples that, solidify what you think it is versus really going out and staying in neutral and listening. I know that's an attribute. And then finally, I like how, numbers are part of the story, and they're good indicators of what to ask. But diving in deeper on hygiene, I haven't heard that, but that total hygiene of the organization to understand what are those numbers really maybe possibly indicating, which is usually the soft stuff underneath that creates that indelible change, not just that short-term change. So right. I think those are 3 awesome lessons that I heard you say that I'm sure a lot of people will be able to take away. And you're talking about, hygiene and organizational health. And I mean, one of the biggest things you can do is high performers, that I've found has really helped to develop that next bench, that next team. So how have you found to develop high performers on your team?
Yeah, so this comes from a great colleague of mine from the time I spent at Milliken Healthcare, another company very deeply rooted and respected in wound care and surgical. And that was inspect what you expect. And as simple as that sounds, it's laying a platform of what is it and why is it that we're looking for a certain behavior, a certain playbook, a certain project plan with all of the appropriate tasks that roll up under it. What is it that we're looking for, and the why, I think, helps to drive the authentic understanding and energy behind it. And then it's really the follow-up, the leadership responsibility of us to ensure that we're inspecting what we're expecting each of the individuals of our respective team members to be able to execute and understand. So inspecting what you expect, I think, are very simple terms of what we can do in kind of the execution stage of living out those set agendas that we put forward.
Yeah, no, I think it's so true, and at least giving visibility, right? So a lot of times it's that visibility to the team of like, hey, here's the activities that really produce the greatest results in both personal development and business development or anything else, but then creating that visibility for it, shapes that behavior. The old red, yellow, green, right? You're on, it's like, you're green, you're good, lights, keep trucking, red, oh, well, I got to adjust that, and a lot of times you just naturally, even at top performers, don't notice that, those things. So creating that visibility, it's crucial. So. And
how guilty are we, Joe? Sorry, I just wanted to add this point because there's a lot of learning from a leadership perspective as well. You're able to understand why are things yellow? Why is it red? What are the surgical interventions that we need to provide to get closer to yellow and then green? Right? Yeah. So there's an exchange there that I think really fosters the true leader subordinate relationship that fosters the appropriate chemistry that supports where we need to evolve.
Yeah. So it's a sitting on the same side of the table to solve the problem versus and collaborating to get it to green. So I think that's a good point. I'm going to continue to ask Shri questions, a few more questions, but please comment below if you've got some additional questions for Shri. We're going to take those at the end, so make sure you comment below. We'll be able to pull those in. You can ask Shri I wouldn't say anything, but we'll maybe just about anything comes to mind there. So this is one that's absolutely near and dear to my heart, finding and evaluating new talent. What would you recommend to leaders, in this space and the best ways to do that?
Yeah, so I will tell you, kind of going back or tangential to my first statement, I think numbers tell a good portion of the story. You obviously want someone that's deeply rooted in excellence and high performance, and metrics often do that. But I have, to be very candid, I have found, and you've helped, you and FloodGate have helped with some of this, and the type of assessments that we require to help round out what are the qualities, what are the synergistic capabilities with the team that I already have or we already have in place with the type of talent or new talent that we're seeking to add to round out a team. So as much as I talk about having like-mindedness in people, there's certainly great value in this big initiative in DE&I, because I think every variable that we bring in new talent and building out teams helps each respective member to better merchandise their brand. And I think the better that we are in appreciating and valuing the respective merchandising of their respective brand makes us better together as a collective team. That's what our customers are. It's a very diverse space that we're selling to. It helps us better prepare for the appropriate objections or clarifications that our customers or the general public, even users, if we're in a B2C space versus a B2B space, that may have some contention or some appropriate questions in understanding our product or our services. So I think that team makeup of new talent that comes from a diverse background, but just a remarkable, vivacious background of wanting and yearning to learn more, and never stops really learning and wanting to understand more, helps us round out the collectiveness of a team. And that's what makes teams stronger, and organizations stronger, and certainly more sustainable versus their concept.
No, I mean, I think you bring up a couple good points. Is that, one, past success can usually predict future success. So having that metrics there, but not just solely relying on that, making sure you have the cultural attributes, right? Those attitudinal, as I like to call them, experiences. And I like that you focused on that intellectual curiosity, that ability to always want to learn, right? Because then it's a growing learning organization, versus one that's static, and creating that culture where it's constantly feeding from customers to that. So you're implementing. So I think there's a couple good points, tying those two together and creating that right balance creates that culture of high performers that are willing to learn and probably have the same humility that you talked about at the beginning, right? To be successful. Right. So I love it. So, once a lot of people on this call or in this, and they're watching this later, are aspiring leaders, right? They want to be tapped. They want to maybe sit where you are someday. What would you recommend? What should they do?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think the easiest and best way that folks that are aspiring to get into the leadership role, to want to influence others and have the privilege of leading others, is seek out a mentor. I think mentoring and mentorship is probably the best way that fosters that deep-rooted curiosity. It allows you to select someone that you believe will be a great partner in this self-development journey that you are already showing signs of investing towards in yourself. And it gives you kind of a safety net in being able to run some questions that you may not be yet prepared to formalize with someone that may be within your organization, or someone that has a significant voice in positions that you seek within your organization.
Right.
So, and mentoring could be someone in a completely different industry. It could be, typically someone that you may have worked with, that had a good relationship with, a former boss or peer that's progressed in their career. I try to recommend folks staying away from family members, because I don't think that they can be as objective as you may wish to develop the chemistry you want with a true mentor. But mentorship and mentoring, someone that really gets to know you and has your best interest at heart, can provide you with kind of the first and early life lessons that you can deem really, really valuable and important as you seek your first leadership opportunity.
I think that's great. And, I think a lot of people, are probably reticent of asking for mentorship or asking to be mentored. But I can tell you, I've had the opportunity to mentor people now, this stage in my career, and I actually cherish it. So, don't let that hold you back. I would say I agree with you. And I would also add on, if you see someone that you respect, ask them, hey, can we, meet once a month? I'd love to, be mentored by you or respect you. I find that people they would love to do it on hold. So I think that's a great singular suggestion, because they can shepherd you on how to do, and it kind of, step far enough away where they can get the emotion out and the logic in, which sometimes occurs,
Right.
especially as you're going through a business career. So,
yeah, Joe, I'll just go on to add another point that's tangential to your comment is, unfortunately, I don't have the time flexibility that I once had in being able to mentor as many as I did in the past, but the few that I've been able to retain, I'll tell you almost everyone that I did mentor, and certainly the couple that I've been able to mentor here, both within the organization, I learn as much from them as I hope that I'm able to help them with. So it becomes a true commitment, and it becomes symbiotic in many ways when you're able to truly appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. I want to ask one more question to Shri, a fun one, but I'm going to guys comment below. I see we have a few more comments and questions, so please comment below, and we'll take some questions from Shri. So this is a little fun. So who is your favorite superhero? I'm going to do my Superman stance here, and why?
Oh gosh, good fun question. I'll tell you, I will just very quickly answer from a superhero perspective, one that you and the whole audience probably knows. Superman was mine, because that was the era in which I grew up, and I remember watching Super Friends every Saturday morning, and I was drawn to Superman. But I will tell you, outside of the just the comic nature and how you asked that, I wanted just a quick answer. I'll say my dad's my superhero. My dad immigrated over from India, was in the rallies for the fight for freedom in India in the 1940s with Mahatma Gandhi, helped India get its first independence. Think about us, even if you're approaching this age or in this age or a little bit older than Joe and I, to learn a completely new environment at the age of 40, 41, take on a whole different profession is pretty courageous. And as I reflect on my dad, who my family and I are privileged to still have with us at the age of 94, I think of what he did, and I don't think a superhero, a fictional superhero, comes close to what he was able to do in uprooting the family to create a better life for his family here. My twin brother and I were born in the States, and I could just see growing up his relentless commitment to family, his work, and it helped drive and instill a lot of the motivation and the desires and the inspiration for us to achieve what we needed to do to kind of live out that life, living a life of noble purpose. So my dad is kind of the real life superhero and Superman for the reason I shared earlier.
Wow, I think you hit it right. I mean, you have a superhero is defined by people that are courageous and others focused. Your dad absolutely showed that, to make that kind of jump at that age and constantly put the family first that's a superhero to me, for sure.
Well, thanks for asking. Thanks for the slight deviation in answering, but
I love it for sure. So I'm ready to take a few questions from the FloodGate family. So I see we've got a few comments here below. We're going to pull some in here. Here's one from Todd. Great points on why. How do you deliver the why to ensure that this stays a focus in your teams? So I think he's talking about the why. Simon Sinek, the why. How do you keep that in focus when all the other distractions come around? How do you have any suggestions you have for Todd? I think it's a great question.
Yeah. So again, I go back to the word authenticity. So if you truly appreciate where you're coming from and what you're looking to achieve, I think the why and answering the why it comes under fine-tuned focus of why it is that you're doing what you're doing. And therefore the commitment behind it, the clarification, the explanation, the rationale, justification of where you are in running the business. It's difficult to ask customers for price increases, but the why sometimes, if grounded really well, if you truly understand what the business requires for you to be able to scale and grow, I think it helps to put all of those other peripheral reasons into the context, so you deliver it with authenticity, with an explicable why. So I hope that helps. Again, it's a bit of a general answer. I know it's a general question.
I think that definitely does. I like how you even bring it back to the tactical, of why you want to increase, the level of product and service and efficacy. Costs go up, right? Those prices have to go up for you to be able to invest in the new R&D, the new studies that prove it out, all those kind of things that are going to benefit your why, which is patient care, right? So I love the way you even tied it down to that fundamental of hard ask sometimes, that is about the why. Here's one from Justin Richards. Someone high up in the company and industry as you are, what are some of the KPIs you really found really indicate how your team is performing? Great question, Justin. What are, you can't have too many, so what are the ones that you really think are important to focus on?
Yeah, so we adopted Salesforce, like a lot of different CRMs that are out there, and Salesforce really gives us an opportunity to kind of double click into what are the activities like, what's the development of key opinion leaders, what's the call reporting, what's the schedule. And I should just qualify this, that Salesforce is not meant to be kind of an activity-based overseeing tool. It is really to help the organization better plan and get value for what their planning agenda setting is like. So consequent to that, I think that the key performance indicators are, what are some of those activity tools that help better outline customer segmentation, prioritization of the right customer, what are the assets or the resources that we as a leadership team can provide to help support some of those day-to-day, the tactical, prospective opportunities, but then also some of the more defensible, reactive ones that customers are asking for as well.
Yeah.
So those are that's all in that medium of customer intimacy. How well do we know our customers? How well are we listening to our customers? What is it that we can best provide? And where is there an opportunity for an education, that understanding, going back to the previous question of why? I think if we take a step back and really understand what the complexity of healthcare is, but how can we get it into a simplistic medium and be able to communicate and articulate that language so customers appreciate it, I think we'll find, as we take the step back, that we're not too far apart. We're all on the same page. We all want to grow. We all want to do the very best that we can so that patients, and we're all going to be there one day, get the very best of what industry offers. And whether that's a price challenge today, whether it's an innovation challenge today, whether it's the complexity of whatever we're fighting, whether it's a complex wound to something more complex, which is the intricacy of the conductivity of the heart, whatever it may be, I think that dialogue and that medium and that education around technology, innovation, compliance, accessibility, all there can be articulated in a way so that there's greater understanding. And with that understanding comes an appreciation of what it is that we're all trying to tackle together.
I love what your KPIs are focused on customer need, right? Not internal need. And I think I remember one of my former leaders that says, if you have to hire a consultant to come in and tell you what your customers want, you already know your first problem. So I think KPIs that reflect that, are crucial. We'll take one last question from Greg Schmaltz. How do you keep your whole company, people at all levels, motivated during economic distress? Maybe like now, something's down, inflation's up. How do you keep them focused on the long term?
Yeah, so I like to say there's three certainties in life: death, taxes, and change. And with the macroeconomic environment, a stubborn recession that some economists are calling, the inflation that we've experienced, although the CPI number early this week created some nice positive boons in the market. I think that's got a lot of people uneasy. And I think we can only help to support why we're changing, why are we moving in the direction that we're moving, because of some cost control measures, right? I think all of us have to adapt quickly so that we can be a sustainable force and presence for the future. But to keep the organization involved, to have everyone that are really the true individuals on the front lines to be as committed, as engaged, I think it just starts with transparent communication. And I hate to keep coming back to this, but if we're an open book, if we help and seek the medium of understanding and dialogue, and we've gone to quarterly town halls We do updates to the organization. That doesn't mean it's always well received, but the venue and the opportunity for forums such as this to ask questions, let us hear what's on people's mind, allow us to be able to digest it, understand where the team's coming from, not always appease what some of the asks may be, but I certainly hope we're moving closer where we may be this far apart, but we're maybe becoming closer and them understanding where we are, what we're doing, why we're making the decisions that we're making. I think help the company move together in a whole direction during times of uncertainty, challenge, and change, like some of the macroeconomic forces that are impacting our world and our business today.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say in darkness, people picture monsters, and especially when there's a lot of noise around, people even get more scared. So the more you can shine a light on the reality and the collaboration that they're together, it's going to be even better. So I'm going to take this last one. I kind of like it as a way to finish here, even though we're a minute or so over. But what's your biggest challenge being a chief executive? I know you're president, but you lead the P&L of an organization. What is the biggest challenge?
Yeah, it's really pace. The vision of where you want to be and where you've got the capability and the experience of having been and done, with all these other variables that are, let's call it the new normal in this post-COVID world, but not the historical trends to be able to trend towards or to be able to extrapolate from, to paint out that picture. So it's learning how to pace yourself with the desires and the confidence of where you need to go and grow the business, to what we've got to manage more tactically today as a result of this post-COVID environment and some of the macroeconomic forces that we just talked about.
Perfect. It's great. Hey, everybody, thanks so much. If you have additional questions, comment below. I know Shri and our team will be monitoring, responding. I appreciate you coming on. Shri, thank you so much for giving us your insight, wisdom. And I am sure there's a lot of people that are going to put a couple arrows in their leadership quiver and do a better job on driving the why in this healthcare going forward. So thank you, Shri. Thank you for everyone. And I appreciate it.
Have a wonderful holiday. Take care. Cheers.